Welcome to Catholic News World.
Welcome to Catholic News World. Please subscribe to our channel. My name is Steph. Here are this week's breaking news headlines.
Agenzia Fides reports that airstrikes by the Burmese army have destroyed the Catholic Church of Christ the King in the town of Phalam, in the Diocese of Hakka, part of the Burmese state of Chin, in northwestern Myanmar. According to Fides sources in the Diocese of Hakka, in an area where electricity and telephone lines are down or interrupted, the roof of the church and its interior are devastated, while the walls of the building are still standing. The church was a new structure, built with great effort and sacrifice in recent years to meet the needs of the approximately 1,000 faithful Catholic community in the area. It was finally consecrated in November 2023, replacing the small chapel that had existed for 75 years. The community rejoiced to have found a place to pray and celebrate the sacraments in the midst of the civil war, an oasis of spirituality in the violence. There is now great sadness in the community, but also a desire and determination to rebuild, the source said. The April 8th bombing of the church was part of the clashes over the town of Phalam, which has been the subject of 9 months of fighting between the army, which controls the town, and the Chinland Defense Force, a local militia that emerged in Chin State in opposition to the military junta. CDF fighters surrounded the town, forced the army to flee after fierce fighting, and took control of Phalam. At this point, as in so many other conflict scenarios in other Burmese regions, the army began bombing the town, and these bombings indiscriminately hit homes, public buildings, and places of worship, including the Church of Christ the King. In the same context, a 36-year-old Protestant Christian pastor and 2 children, 8 months and 7 years old, were killed by shelling in Pui, in the municipality of Mindat. Another man and a woman were among the victims. 9 other people were injured in the attack, and 10 buildings, including the village's Christian church, were destroyed. According to the Human Rights Organization of Chin State, at least 107 religious buildings, including 67 churches, were destroyed in Chin State in 2021 by army bombing during the Civil War.
Please subscribe to our channel.
New details have emerged concerning the murder of the Catholic priest, named Father Raj Arul Karasala, age 57, who was shot and killed in front of the rectory of Saints Peter and Paul Parish in Seneca, Kansas, USA. A special mass was concelebrated by Archbishop Joseph Naumann of Kansas City for the murdered priest on April 3, 2025. 66-year-old Gary Hermesh from Tulsa, Oklahoma, is accused of killing Father Arul Karasala on April 3, 2025. Hermesh went before a judge on April 4th after being charged with first-degree murder by the Nemaha County District Attorney. Attorney Brad Lippert's office of Nemaha County said in a press release that the murder was planned. Hermesh is being held on a $1 million bond in the county jail. This man had written letters to the local Kansas newspaper. In one of the letters he said, "Maybe if we just follow Donald Trump's example, we'll make the church great again." KSNT television station stated that Hermesh had written letters to the editor published in the Courier Tribune, a newspaper of Nemaha County, Kansas. The letters contained opinions about Catholicism and the Vatican. However, he did not mention Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church or Father Karasala in the letters. In a December 2021 letter, he said that infiltration/subversion at the Vatican was already fomenting in the 1930s and 1940s. Vatican II was called just to seal the deal. He wrote, "What we're seeing is just the fruits of the new Novo Ordo Mass and the vision of love Pope Paul VI claimed to be envisioning." According to a report from the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, officers responded to the church on April 3rd to reports of gunshots. Deputies with the Nemaha County Sheriff's Office and officers with the Seneca Police Department found the priest injured outside the rectory with gunshot wounds. Emergency responders took Father Karasala to a hospital where he died. During the Mass for Father Karasala, Archbishop Joseph Naumann noted Father Karasala's dedication to the church and its congregation. "There really are no words for an occasion like this," he said, adding, "It takes a lot to be a priest today. It requires heroic love." Father Karasala was ordained a priest in 1994 in the Diocese of Cuddapah in southeast India. He had served in Kansas since 2004 following an invitation by then Archbishop of Kansas City James Kelleher. The priest became a U.S. citizen in 2011 but retains status as an overseas citizen of India.
Please subscribe to our channel.
The Catholic Church in France reveals a record-breaking over 17,000 people to be baptized at Easter, with more requests pouring in. The Catholic bishops of France released that more than 17,800 catechumens will be baptized during the Easter Vigil on April 19, 2025. 10,384 adults will be baptized this year on Easter night, along with more than 7,400 adolescents aged 11 to 17. This brings the total number of catechumens who will receive baptism this year in France to more than 17,800, representing a 45% increase for adults compared to 2024. These results, which further exceed the record figures collected last year, are the highest ever recorded since the conference began this survey more than 20 years ago, in 2002. The survey now serving as a benchmark. Furthermore, a trend already noted in last year's study is being confirmed and strengthened significantly: the growing and now predominant proportion of young people among all catechumens. Among newly baptized adults, the 18 to 25-year-old group, composed of students and young professionals, now represents 42% of catechumens. The number of adolescent catechumens increased significantly again this year. We are seeing a 33% increase for certain dioceses. Note, alongside the increase in catechumens, since 2022, dioceses have seen a substantial increase in adult confirmands, often referred to as recommendants, meaning those who were baptized in childhood and who, after ceasing to practice for various reasons, particularly during adolescence, returned to the church to deepen their faith as adults. In 2024, more than 9,000 adults received the sacrament of confirmation at Pentecost, the feast on which adult confirmations take place in the Catholic Church, 50 days after Easter, twice as many as 2 years ago.
Please subscribe to our channel.
Pope Francis' health continues to improve following a surprise visit to St. Peter's Basilica, where the Pope blessed a baby. During the visit, the Pope prayed at the tomb of Pope Pius X, with whom Pope Francis has always expressed a deep spiritual bond. The Pope passed through the door of prayer, then went to the altar of the chair. The Holy See Press Office released that Pope Francis continues to improve and requires less oxygenation, explaining that the Pope was taking a walk on April 10th when he decided to go into St. Peter's Basilica to pray. Many noted that the Pope was not wearing his usual white clothing, but was covered with a simple striped blanket. Pope Francis, during the visit, also blessed a baby and children who spontaneously approached him with their parents. On Friday, April 11th in the morning, the Vatican's press office conveyed that Pope Francis continues to show clinical improvements as he recovers at his residence in the Casa Santa Marta, following his hospitalization for a polymicrobial infection that resulted in bilateral pneumonia. Pope Francis celebrates Holy Mass daily. The Holy Father was released from Rome's Gemelli Hospital with protected discharge on Sunday, March 23, 2025. Pope Francis' condition has shown further slight respiratory, mobility, and voice-related improvements, and blood tests are good, explained the press office. The Holy Father has been continuing his treatment and mobility and respiratory-related physical therapy. He also requires less supplemental oxygen. During the day, he can go extended periods of time without being administered oxygen. Also, Pope Francis continues his work activities and is in good spirits, said the press office. It noted the Holy Father has received visits from collaborators in the Roman Curia and dicastery prefects. The press office noted it is still too early to discuss the Pope's participation in Holy Week liturgies. Since weather plays a role, more information will likely be given event by event. For the first major liturgy of Holy Week, Pope Francis has chosen Cardinal Leonardo Sandri as his delegate to preside at the Mass for Palm Sunday. On Wednesday, April 9th, the Pope held a private audience at the Casa Santa Marta with Britain's King Charles III and Queen Camilla, expressing his best wishes for their wedding anniversary. On Sunday, he also surprised when he made his first public appearance in the Vatican since leaving the hospital. At the end of Mass for the Jubilee of the Sick and Healthcare Workers on Sunday, the Pope appeared briefly on the stage, greeted and blessed the crowd, told pilgrims, "Have a good Sunday, and thank you very much."
Watch our program every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to Catholic News World's channel. God bless.